Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jerred Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. So today we'll be going over updates, some of the new stuff, and the track briefs. So here's the team. That's me, upper left-hand corner. We have Kyle, Joe, VD, as we call them, Trampus, Marco, Ashley. This is the team. If you ever need any help, all you have to do is tag them in a Facebook post, and they'll get back to you. I'm kidding. Go through the proper channels, hit up support on garagegymathlete.com, but we are in the Facebook group for you as well. And if you guys have any questions throughout the day, most of the team is here. You can throw it in the chat, and we'll get you an answer to your question. All right, just hitting on some things that people are already doing. You've probably seen it. If you go to the Garage Gym Athlete YouTube channel, you will see that we have been doing garage gym tours for a while now, almost weekly, pretty much weekly for a while. And if you want to submit your garage gym tour, nothing big here. You can go to garagegymathlete.com/tour. You'll see the instructions there. We've had dozens of athletes do this already, and we will send you some free merchandise of your choosing if you do this. And we'd love to see your gym. We've seen a lot of cool ideas, gyms, and just setups that, otherwise we don't get to see. And it's really cool that so many people have participated, and we compensate you for spending your time and doing that through trying to give you something awesome like a Garage Gym Athlete banner or a shirt or whatever merchandise product you want, because we know your time is valuable, and we really do appreciate that. So go check out, if you don't want to participate, at a minimum, check out the YouTube channel and watch the tours that we've done already. And quick announcement on Garage Gym Athlete Coaching. Most of you probably know this if you've been following along from the last webinar. We're taking a break from Concurrent Training Elite and the Women's Health Track for this next cycle. And a lot of reasons being, just overall participation has been down, and we have our theories behind why. I think that I mentioned that we're going to increase the price quite a bit for people who are really interested in coaching. And so I think that's the direction we're headed next year. We're taking a break from the Elite and Women's Health Track, at least for this next cycle. If we get enough requests, it's possible we could bring it back, but we do already have plans for some individualized coaching that we're bringing through Endo3 Fitness next year. So I know some of you are sad about that, but don't worry. We have some other great ways that we're going to be still getting a lot of coach involvement, your involvement, accountability in the Facebook group without even having to break out to Garage Gym Athlete Coaching. So don't worry. We're still going to take care of you, even though we're taking this break from Concurrent Training Elite and the Women's Health Track. Podcast. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, go do that. So subscribe and review. So if you've been listening for a long time to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast, please leave us a review, 5-star review, positive comment. It really does help the show. And we would appreciate that if you are able to do that. We are getting into Fit Week. And so I want to announce a few things, not just about Fit Week, but the reward system in general. So I'm going to kind of go over all that. I'm going to kind of skip over this part because I also have the rewards slide here. And so if you're new or you've been around for a while, we have a pretty epic Garage Gym Athlete reward system. It's taken a long time for implementation, but I want to make sure that everybody understands how it works. So I'm going to go over this one more time, and we'll also publish this on the website so you can see it. And we also have a quick form for people who can fill out if there's something that you're missing or whatever. I'm going to go over how to make sure that you get access to that. So the black PR shirt that we send you for free, you need one video PR. So you have to post this to our members only Facebook group, and it has to be a PR. So that means there has to be an established benchmark or baseline, and then you have to break that PR, and you have to do it in a cycle. And we will send you, if you post that video, a black PR shirt for free. So pretty simple there. Red shirt, all the same applies, but it's 5 PRs in 1 cycle. The PR patch, we need 10 video PRs over the lifetime of your account. So very much like the red and black, but it doesn't have to be in a cycle. But what we would need from you are 10 different videos posted in the Facebook group total for you to get that PR patch that we have here at Garage Gym Athlete. And it's, like I said, it's over if you do that over a year, 2 years, doesn't matter, as long as we have 10 different video links in the Facebook group that we can check out. Meet Yourself Saturday Mental Toughness Practitioner Patch. This is not a free one. This is a paid one. We'll be bringing this back. So after you've completed 10 Meet Yourself Saturday workouts, you do qualify for this patch. And it's just the honor system. We're not going to check or review it, but it will become available to you in the app on Meet Yourself Saturday. Select Meet Yourself Saturdays. So you can just click the link, purchase the patch if it's something that you want. So you will see more of that this year. The Killing Comfort patch, 80% over the cycle. We have really strict rules. So 80% completion, green dots, and that's everything included that we put into the app. You have to hit 80%. We process these pretty much on a quarterly basis. So 80% over the cycle gets you the Killing Comfort patch, also free. And then the Killing Comfort ACE patch is the last one. And so the ACE patch is you've done 80% over 5 cycles. Again, strict rules that we have to check. And it is another free patch. So this is the entire Garage Gym Athlete reward system, if any of you are interested in it. But the biggest thing I want to hit on, some people may have been missed, or maybe you haven't been checked and you thought you should have, or whatever the case may be. Go to this link right here. It's also in the app itself. So if you are, a member, you go to the app, you go into documents and links, you can click on rewards. The link is EO3, the number .fit/GGA-rewards. And so you can submit the form there. If you're like, I thought I should have got the Killing Comfort patch, but I didn't. This is going to be a review system for us because we have had people reach out to support saying they thought they should have gotten something and they did not get something. And if that is the case for you, then we want to go back and check it. So we've set up this form for, at a minimum, we can go check to see if that's something that you should have gotten and didn't, and then we will let you know. So pretty simple there. Like I said, you can access this in the app, documents and links, and it's a reward under rewards, or you can go to this link directly. And then speaking of documents and links, just going over real quick for everyone, just a quick reminder. We have the PR shirt. If you need to submit these links, EO3 elements, if you want to really dial in things, it's also in the app, but another place to if you want to print off the PDF, put it on your desk or whatever. Track changes. I know there are going to be a lot of track changes coming up, especially after we go over the briefs. Goals, this is always something we do with the new cycle. You can go to that link, enter in your goals, and you are able to be held accountable, at least through kind of like an email-based system that we have set up there. Sleep habits. Sleep is super important. If you want to dial in your sleep over this next quarter, definitely go check out the sleep habits we put together for you there. And if you are ever in need of some sort of substitution, we have a conversion chart for you that you can access in the app. And so go check that out. And we also have some travel workouts for you in there, a lot of stuff that you can hit in the documents and links section. Now, real quick, this is just a big overview of our training. We want you to be hitting those EO3 elements each and every single day. It's in the app, guys. Just go through that. They're so important for your recovery and for your progress. So make sure you're hitting the EO3 elements. And what we're doing, big picture, is concurrent training. That's kind of the overall nature of the training, between how we lift, between how we run, between how we train energy systems. And then lastly, we have our body geometry kind of, reset and deload that we put every 4th week in the programming. And so I like to pull this slide occasionally, at least once per year, to let people know how we're doing it, how we do our programming. And we do concurrent training for 3 solid weeks. Our 4th week is body geometry. We're really balancing you out, hitting a lot of zone 2, building your base. And then the EO3 elements are what we want you to hit each and every single day. It's a very solid system, proven by a lot of athletes at this point, but just trust the system. It's 3 weeks that you're basically committing to each month. That 4th week is a deload. And if you get those EO3 elements every day, basically guarantee to see results in your health, in your fitness, and progress on anything else that you want. All right, new stuff at Garage Gym Athlete that I wanted to go over before we get into the track briefs. Let me pull it up after I take one sip of water. All right, we have the human program that we're introducing in January. Now, this does not kick off at the beginning of the cycle. It's going to kick off later in January. And so the big picture of how this was programmed, it's a 7-week program, and it follows our body geometry programming for strength training. And it's a 7-week program that takes you from basically going from, baseline movements all the way up to more compound things like barbell, squat, deadlift, things of that nature. So that is how we've programmed kind of the strength. So if you know anything about our body geometry program, it starts very easily in a movement competency stream, and then it gets progressively harder. And so unless you've actually been on the back end and know how we program that as like an EO3 coach, you wouldn't know all of it, but you'll get to see it if you were to go through the human program. So it starts off very easy in week 1. We're making sure every muscle contraction is hit, every plane of movement is hit, and we're doing a lot of different movements in general throughout this 7 weeks. It's a phenomenal program to indoctrinate people to Garage Gym Athlete programming, what we're doing at End of 3 Fitness. And it's also a phenomenal program for new athletes. I've actually ran my brother through this. And if you're not familiar with my brother, I've mentioned him on the podcast before. He has encountered a lot of issues. He had multiple IEDs taken when he was deployed in Afghanistan and Iraq. He is missing a substantial amount of his femur. His legs are no longer the same size, and metal plates in his elbow and knee and foot. And so he had basically been, put back together after experiencing some pretty severe trauma to his body. And so he's in a pretty hard spot movement wise. And even as a coach, for me, him coming to train with me is not like, let's just say a regular person coming to train. I have to think about all these things, like how he's moving, what he can do, what he can't do. And it definitely is something that I wanted to make sure that he was getting every part of what he needed to be able to progress. And this was what kind of came out of me working with him was this program. It was programming that we already have and that we already wrote, but I wrote it in a way that it progresses very easily from week 1 to week 7. So almost anybody, and I mean anybody, and that's why I call it the human program, can do this. And the only thing that would change based off of, how hard you want it to be, because I've tested some of the workouts. If I change the rep schemes, these training sessions can be incredibly challenging, and I'll be very sore after, but a slight change in the rep schemes to lower, and it's not going to be challenging for me. But it is better for a beginner. And that all of that's built into it. And so you're able to really progress a lot. Now, the second part of the human program is not just the body geometry, it's energy system training. So we do the same thing over the course of 7 weeks. We go from having aerobic one day. We're going to be training glycolytic one day, and that's going to be like the optional day if you're kind of newer. because the glycolytic is that pain zone. It's where it's really, really painful, crappy type energy system training. And then on that third day, it's just creatine phosphate, the very low end or low time wise, high power type stuff. So 5 seconds on, 10 seconds on, 15 seconds on, 20 seconds on with a lot of rest. And so you get to see and experience in interval based training. So you're going to choose either running, rowing, whatever it is. And you would get to see one of those each week. So it would be a 6-day-a-week program, but that if you're not an advanced athlete, you completely skip the glycolytic day. And so it's 5-day-per-week program. And if you wanted to go down to 4 days per week, or you have someone in mind who might be doing this program, do 4 days per week, you would do the 3 body geometry days and aerobic only. And all of this is laid out, like how you should tackle it. Like you're not going to have to, let me rewatch the webinar. Like all of it's laid out. I'm just letting you all know what we've put together and kind of the why behind it. So it's a great program for basically anybody. If you are, and I say anybody because like I said, I've tested it and I'm more on the advanced level, in the competitor level of our standards. And these workouts can be very challenging, but I've ran my brother through basically all 7 weeks of this. In a less formalized format, and he has gone through it. And my dad, my dad is in his 60s. He has gone through this program, at least 4 weeks of it as well. I kind of gave it to him as a reset previously when he was getting back into the gym, and he went through it on his own without me having to, really like coach him through it because he was going to a gym. He wasn't coming to my house like my brother is, and so. That's what it is. Now I want to talk about, that's kind of the left hand side of the screen here is it's indoctrination. It's great for new athletes of any level who want to get indoctrinated into everything that we're doing. Now we also, moving over to the right side, it says recalibrate, re-engage. This is for athletes who maybe you just need a break or you need a reset. Maybe you've been around in the programming for a while and maybe you're just not with it mentally, or maybe you don't want to press some heavy weight. And you just need like this break. You want to just go back to the basics, recalibrate, get a reset. This is another great use of the program for our long-term veteran athletes. And it's going to be available to you as well. And so if you want to go through the program, just experience some really hard baseline energy system training, some great body geometry, movement. I really look at this program as kind of like taking your vitamins. I honestly feel like that. And that's why I wanted to call it the human program, because it's just everything's in there. We're training every single energy system. We're hitting all the different planes of movement, different muscle contractions. So I'm really proud of the program and the people I've ran through it currently, and I'm really excited to get it to the community. And like I said, we're not going to release it right as soon as we start the new cycles, but it is going to be available to you in January. So just be thinking about that, and also be thinking about if you have a friend or family member that you would like to do the human program, if you feel like they should be walked through this, because we're going to have a lot of videos helping people go through what they need to do and stuff, and making sure that you go down the right path, because I think it's going to be good for a lot of people. So just keep that in mind. And if you have any questions about this program, let me know. Any questions at all, again, throw them in the chat or throw them in the Q&A section here in the webinar, and I will get to do them at the end of the webinar when we open it up for the Q&A stuff. All right. And now here's the challenge for the year that we're introducing. And it's a pretty big deal. So this is the 300 challenge. A lot of you know, if you've been listening to the podcast, and some of you've taken on the challenge already. A few years ago, I set a goal for myself that I didn't really care about, any specific numbers. I wasn't after a percentage of body fat or a number on the bar. I think this was like 2 or 3 years ago. And I just wanted to do 300 training sessions. I was like, that's good. It's almost 6 training sessions per week. That should challenge me. It's just a consistency thing. And ultimately, this is all I want for Garage Gym athletes is, that ultimate level of consistency. And so we kind of, put together different levels of this based on the challenge, because I know some of you've already achieved it. A few of you, it's not many, but this 300 challenge. So this 300 training sessions in 2022 is what we're kind of the gauntlet we're throwing down for the community. But we also have a separate challenge that's one bar lower than this, and I'll go over that next. So 300 training sessions in 2022, that's level 1. Okay, level 1, you are able to complete 300 training sessions in 2022. And I also think that you should, at the level 1, you are allowed to deem what a training session would be. If that is a training session, 10 minutes, is it 15 minutes, 30 minutes? Definitely set a minimum for what your training session is, where you don't get into this and you start, down that slippery slope of like, oh, well, you know what? I walked a lot today. I admit that'll count as my training session. Let's not go down that road. A training session is a very particular thing. It's not a set of steps. It's an intentional, you went outside, you went in your garage, you went to the gym, whatever, and you trained, you did a workout. So 300 training sessions in 2022 is level 1. Level 2 is those 300 training sessions in 2022 plus 300 minutes per week. So this is a little bit, this increases it a little bit because that's a good amount of time, right? Like that's something that you're going to have to put in those at least, 5 1-hour sessions, something like that. You're going to have to, or you're going to have to train more than that. Like you're going to have to get there somehow. And you're going to have to be very intentional about how much time you're actually spending in the gym as well. And so that one is very difficult. That's like level 2. That really increases this to going from like, okay, that was hard to holy crap, this is going to be really hard. I'm going to have to be very dialed in for the year. And then ultimately level 3 is what's in level 2 and level 1. But then each training session has to be a minimum of 300 calories burned in the session. So this is the 300 challenge. It is not easy. It's simple. But like I said, this is what I want for every athlete. I want you to be consistent. I want you to put in the time. I want you to put in, the work and get it done. And if you want to we can all dive in like, hey, we're going to do the 300. My goal for the year is the 300 challenge at level 3. But then if you get knocked down to level 2, okay, I can still do level 2. Okay. I can't do level 3. I can't do level 2. Level 1. Okay, that's what I'm going to go for. And so I want you to set that goal. And I mentioned how concurrent training elite women's health track were going away. But this is going to become our accountability on a monthly basis in the Garage Gym Athlete group for 2022. This is what I want to push every athlete towards doing, is some version of this. And then we will do monthly accountability posts throughout all of 2022. Where you can check in if you want to be a part of it. And to drop down just one further, I know 300 is a little bit much for a lot of people. That's training, like I said, minimum 5 1-hour sessions per week plus an additional to get that 6th day on average. Now we're dropping it down to 200. Okay, so this is you have to know where you're at. Like if you're able to go back and look at your training and see where you're at, like, can you honestly commit to a 300, or are you more someone who needs to commit to the 200? And this is a lot more doable, but for some people, this is still going to be incredibly challenging. And I want this to be a very all-inclusive challenge for all of 2022. If you're going for the 300, go for the 300, but I want you to know ahead of time, because here I was initially talking about, like, if you can't go to level 3, go to level 2. If you can't go to level 2, go to level 1. And if you can't do that, you can drop down below. But I'd really prefer for you to set one and go for getting one of the levels in the number that you choose at the beginning of the year. Because if you got 295 training sessions, you didn't do the 300 training. The 300 challenge, you did the 200 challenge. And 295 sessions is a lot. That's awesome. Like, you knocked it out of the park, but you still didn't get 300. And so do you need to be in the 200 category? Do you need to be in that 200 category? Because it doesn't mean just 200. It means anywhere from 200 to 299, you're in this one. And it's actually pretty difficult even to do. And so that's what we're going to be doing over 2022. And I think by involving this 200 challenge, we are making it all inclusive for the entire community. Everyone could commit to this. We're now more at like 4 training sessions per week, which is actually what we program. Very doable, getting in the 200 minutes per week and getting in the 200 calories per training session. So if you want to be a part of that, all you have to do, make sure you're part of the Facebook group. All of you should be already. And, we'll be doing monthly, like I said, monthly accountability sessions where we'd like for you to report in because this isn't just me saying like, hey, go try this thing. I think it's a good challenge. Well, that's enough for a lot of you, especially some of the people I see who are on attending the webinar right now. I could have just laid it out like that and you'd be like, cool, let's do this. Let's go for the 300. Let's go for the 200. But I do want to incentivize it a bit, so Kyle kind of brought up, he in his weight room, and very similar for me, like in high school, they have like a board, of people who like hit a certain total or had, certain lifts and stuff like that. So we're going to have, I'm kind of thinking of it as like the Garage Gym Athlete Hall of Fame. And we're just going to have a page that kind of highlights the people who can or have actually achieved this. So 1, you get some recognition there. 2, obviously there's going to be a shirt. Trampus doesn't even know this yet, but there will be a shirt. He's going to make an awesome shirt for the 200 to 300 challenge. And then lastly, we're going to be giving away a rower or Concept 2 machine of your choosing. All right. So we are going to be giving away a Concept 2 for this challenge, and we'll get into more of the details. But we're gonna start it with this new cycle for 2022, and it's not going to be a Concept 2 machine for every single person who does this. It's going to be a Concept 2 machine for the people who complete it. You're in the running for that Concept 2 piece of machinery. And I know that's generally when we're like, hey, what do you want? When we ask that on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast, people are all about getting that. Getting that Concept 2 rower or something like that into their garage. And so that's what we're going to be giving away. So if 20 people finish this by the end of the year, because in my opinion, it's not going to be a lot by the end of the year, you will go in the raffle for this giveaway. And those are pretty strong odds. I'm being very honest with you. We've given away rowers before. We've given away entire garage gyms before. We've given away barbells before. And whenever we do one of those giveaways, there's literally thousands of people in contention for that thing that you want. This one, you have to put in a lot of work. You have to be a part of the community, and you have to do something for the entire year. So there could be only one person who finishes this throughout the year. And so you automatically get it. Or you could be a group of 10 or 20. I hope that it's more than that. But I know that this is an incredibly tough challenge if you're not tracking on a weekly basis. Okay, you need to be tracking all these things. And now as far as verification, how are we going to verify it? Because I know that's the question that's going to come up. We're not going to ask for 300 training sessions worth of data. We will look at team builder, things like that, but we are just going to pick a random week in the year if we get to the end of 2022, and we are just going to pick a random week, and you need to send us all your training data for that week. And if you can't do it, and you can't do it in a timely manner, then you will be disqualified from getting the prize if you were to win. So this is all the way, we're talking all the way who's going to be the winner, things that we're doing, just some of the logistics, and we'll post more about it. But that's how we're going to do it. We're just going to spot check 1 week out of the year and check every bit of data for that 1 week. And then we're going to trust you on the rest. But that week will be random, and you won't know where it's at. Now, I did see the idea for tracking, and we did talk about some of that on the podcast, but Dominic Decker, who is here, I believe, he's definitely done this. I think he's done it at least 2 years in a row, 300 training sessions. I've done it before as well. I mean, that's been my goal the last couple of years, on top of like other goals as well, as trying to get this plus something else. But I haven't done level 3, and which is what my personal goal is going to be for next year. And yeah, Dominic, he's here. So he's done it before, but what's really cool how Dominic does it, I just normally look at my app. Like I use a Garmin, and you can pull up a calendar in Garmin, and it'll have like a green bar for every day that you worked out. And so that's how I can go back and track very easily and look at it. But I love what Dominic does. And he just gets like one of those like desk calendars, and he marks it off. And I really love the visual aspect of that and like the physical marking it off on the calendar. So I highly recommend maybe getting a big whiteboard for the entire year, or a big calendar or something like that, and putting it in your garage, wherever you're going to be. So it's staring you in the face every day and you know where you're at. So that's what I really want you to see. So Dominic, like I said, he's done it before, and some other people have done it, the big whiteboard. I'm thinking about, even though I track in Garmin, I'm thinking about I have 2 whiteboards in my garage, dedicating one of my whiteboards just to this, and like drawing out a full calendar year on there and everything. So that's the big challenge for 2022. It's gonna be a tough one. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for, personally, GGA 300 challenge, level 3. And if for some reason I get knocked off that horse, I'll go down to level 2, and then at a minimum try and keep to level 1. So that's where it's at. All right, so I will keep going. If you guys have any questions about this, just ask away, and I'll get to it at the end, because we're close to the end, because the track briefs don't normally take that long. So we're getting into the track briefs. So we have our different tracks. No women's health track this time, so I don't have a lot to brief, as much to brief this time. So I'll start with Jerred. So VD runs the Jerred track, and here's what he sent for this coming one. It's going to be hypertrophy muscle endurance, similar to what they've been doing on the Jerred track. So I will just read it, because we also publish this as a podcast. And so the overview: a new cycle means we get to work on new movements and develop your fitness in new ways over the next 12 weeks. For returnees, this means the methods will remain mostly the same: weight selection by feel, supersets, body geo-focused metcons. We will adjust the intensity from last cycle and shift the focus to the main lifts, i.e. bench, squat, and deadlift, to something based off of rep maxes or rep maxes. I think that's what that is. We'll find those on week 1, and the expectation is to build from there over the cycle. The exercises will reflect classic bodybuilding more so than previous cycles. That's something people should definitely know. As for conditioning, expect short AMRAPs, moderate EMOMs, and extended chippers. To complete all you'll be asked to do, you must stick to the blocks prescribed. If you cannot complete the work in the allotted time, move on to the next block. As is the norm, there will not be a significant focus on athletic performance, although you will get fitter in the process. Body composition will always be the goal of the Jerred track. Come prepared to work and to become a better, stronger version of who you used to be. Your significant other will thank you for it. So what does this look like? It looks like heavy use of kettlebells and dumbbells and bands to perform accessory and body geometry exercises. A pull-up bar, a barbell are vital pieces of equipment. Rings are highly preferred, as well as access to a rower and airdyne, although not required. Weights are not usually prescribed. Instead, you'll select your intensity and load based on a rep range, recovery, and level of fatigue. Listening to your body will be the ticket to success. For the more technical lifts and skill-based exercises, there will be substitutions either briefed or in the notes. So this is the Jerred track. All right. So if you are interested in body composition, that's the big thing here, body composition. And body comp is body comp. Like that's why we don't call it the muscle gain track. And it's not why we don't call it the weight loss track. It's shredding to see more of your muscles. Like that's body composition. That's what body composition is. And so if you're interested in body comp in any way, you can dial in your nutrition. You would be able to gain weight on any track that has hypertrophy in it, because that's what you'll be doing, gaining muscle. And you could also lose weight. So your nutrition will be very important on the Jerred track, as it is on all tracks. But if you are looking for a specific look or going after something, then that's something that you need to know. All right, the Endure track, endurance plus interval training. So Marco is the Endure track connoisseur and pain giver. I don't know what else to call Marco, but this one is the Endure track is always a fan favorite because of Marco's style of programming. But the overview for the Endure: Endure Track in 2022 to kick things off. For this cycle, the Endure Track will be concentrated on longer events requiring a more relentless and conditioned athlete able to maintain intensity while switching between different energy systems and exercises. The programming will shift its concentration between blocks of 4-week waves. The first wave will concentrate on short duration interval training to enhance an athlete's endurance during short and very intense sessions. The second wave will concentrate on long duration interval training to build an athlete's tolerance toward continuous and intense sessions. The third wave will combine the efforts and training achieved during the previous two, and it will have an athlete work on getting used to switching between longer and short intervals without losing intensity and quality of movement or expecting discomfort due to a jump in heart rate. And what does it look like? This track will make use of different tools and energy systems, concentrated training. It will be using bodyweight movement, sample aerobic work, more complex work requiring a rucksack or backpack with fillers, sandbags, kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell, and plates, a vest if available, and long and short metabolic conditioning training sessions. So that is the Endure Track. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat about the Endure Track. Strength Track, strength and hypertrophy. Joe is in charge of the Strength Track. New year, so it's time to build that base, and that will come in the form of a lot of volume. You'll see some higher rep sets and higher effort sets for strength. There will be mixed modal aerobic circuits for increased strength endurance with an elevated heart rate, and accessory work will be balanced out everything else with some larger supersets. Extra conditioning will come in the form of short sprints with long rests for that gain zone, then moving to glycolytic pain intervals for more endurance. So that is what we are doing for the Strength Track. And then this is the Hard to Kill track. The Hard to Kill track is what it is. I kind of just gave more of my generic slide for anybody who's new to Hard to Kill. And then I'm going to talk kind of off the cuff and more about what I did Hard to Kill this coming up. So this cycle will continue in the H2K fashion, hit every energy system in 13 areas of training. We focus on every 30-day wave. So that's just something we do continuously on Hard to Kill. You'll see function weeks followed by monostructural weeks, volume-based lifting, and start ending with tempo lifts towards the end of the cycle. So you won't see those until the very, very end. So you're going to see grunt weeks with interval weeks for your conditioning, a very wide range of strength and volume, and you won't be bored, and you could meet yourself during the week. So off the cuff here, what are we doing on a Hard to Kill track? So across the 12 weeks, you're going to see a different version of strength each wave. So every 4 weeks is going to be a different version. How you start is not going to be how you end, and it's not going to be even what you're doing in the middle. So this is the Hard to Kill will change strength methods quite frequently. And you're going to see a lot more dynamic efforts this time than you have in the past. So that's going to be a lot more explosive lifting, fast lifting, things of that nature. There's going to be a lot of that. Now the conditioning, you are going to see some of the named workouts that we have that aren't Meet Yourself Saturdays. Those are going to show up in the programming, and some that are just longer metcons. That's what the grunt work kind of stuff is. And then you will see the interval training just to hit the different energy systems. And so what will be most different, I think, about this upcoming cycle will be more of the lifting. We normally take a very heavy approach, and don't get me wrong, we'll get up to like probably 80%, which is still going to be heavy, right? But we're not really pushing it much past that throughout these 12 weeks. Not a deload by any means, still getting plenty of heavy weight, but there's a lot more dynamic effort lifting, which is just not as heavy in general, and it's going to be faster. And so something to keep in mind if you're coming on the Hard to Kill track, if you have these out of the park strength goals that you want to hit, like a certain number on the bar for the squat, go to the Strength Track. All right. That's going to be the best place for you. No one's going to get weaker on the Hard to Kill track, but your strength PR gains will probably be marginal, a little bit slower. As we focus on more athletic development, we focus on, really building a lot of power for you on the Hard to Kill track. And those are our tracks. We do have the no gear track, and we do have 3-block track. 3-block track follows exactly to the Hard to Kill track. It's just a condensed version in the blocks that we feel that you need to hit. And that's about it there. No gear track follows more of this Hard to Kill approach as far as how the 30-day waves are centered, but it doesn't follow the exact same fashion because we just don't do that on the Hard to Kill track. But we do hit all the different energy systems and all the strength areas that we can doing body weight only. So that is the programming. Sample training is live now. You can go to garagegymathlete.com/2020. I know we're 2 years past 2020 for this cycle coming up, but hey, That's still the link. So garagegymathlete.com/2020. And I'll also be sending it out in 5-Line Friday this week, which I send every Friday. If you want to wait, you can. If you want to check it out now, you can do that as well. So questions, what questions do we have? Let me see if I can pull up some of the Q&A. So Chris Morgan asked, didn't mean to send that before listing. I'm just reading right off. Why'd they put it on the teleprompter? Standalone or in Team Builder, can someone use this to supplement an existing track, or is it too much? Not a good idea. So he's talking about the human program. The human program is going to be both ultimately a standalone program and in Team Builder, because I really want it to be able to help people get indoctrinated, but I also want our current athletes to be able to use it. So it will be both. Either you can go through it on the site, or you can come in and only do that program. And then there's going to be way too much going on to use this as supplemental training to your current training. It would just, because the training sessions are still, what they are, 5 blocks, we still program all the same way. So it'd probably be way too much to add, unless you're doing like 4 days a week of Garage Gym Athlete and you want an additional 2 days or something like that, then you could pick up some of this there. And then Sarah asked, will it need to be 300 level for the rower? Yeah. So for the Concept 2 machine, we'll definitely go 300. And the 200 category, we'll see where we're at, but definitely there's going to be a prize for each one. Probably more along the barbell kettlebell piece of equipment, which is no small thing, but not the Concept 2 piece of machinery. So if you go to the 200 level, the prize does drop down a little bit, but there's going to be a winner for that as well. And so we'll probably have like an option more for you there. All right. Anything else? All right. So Jason has a question. And I like this. I know some of these are already answered, but I like to go back to questions that have already been answered sometimes. Says, how do you reconcile the do less but do it consistently aspect of the last webinar with the 300 challenge? And this is a big part of the reason why I said you need to know where you're at. So the 300 challenge has nothing to do with intensity, has nothing to do with being crazy or hardcore. And it also doesn't peak out beyond that Goldilocks zone of training. So we're talking about 300 minutes per week maximum. So it doesn't actually go against any of the science or things that we've covered necessarily, unless you were to be hitting these in different ways. And so that is how I reconcile it. And also, if you are a person who's, maybe at the 150 training sessions per year level, you definitely should not be doing our 300 challenge, because it's going to be too much for anyone to bite off. So definitely go to the 200 level. And so that is how we are reconciling that, Jason, is we have 2 levels, 200 and 300. 200 is more than doable for most everyone. And then the 300 challenge is more for those who are, ready and able. All right, let me see if there's anything else. Javier asks, I've been on the strength track for a year and I was thinking of switching one cycle to shred for some weight loss and not get bored on strength. Will I see diminished strength on my lifts? You're not going to get weaker. I think Joe's question is pretty spot on there. You definitely, any track, I always say that you're not going to get weaker. And that's just because if you're actually putting in your 4 to 5 days per week of training with any of our coaches who have programmed something, that you just won't get weaker. It's not going to really happen unless you're at these professional powerlifter coming into our programming. But you're absolutely not going to get weaker. You'll probably maintain at a minimum, if not get stronger. All right, Joe asking the question of the PR patch. And if you're wondering about the PR patch or the ACE patch or Killing Comfort patch or anything like that, then definitely go submit that form that we have for you. Like I said, it's eo3.fit/GGA-rewards, or you can just go into the documents and links section in the app. But that's about it. Let's see if there are any more questions. I'll give another minute. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Enter them in now, and I will get them covered. Yeah, so Jason, I think the 200 is great, and that's also we really don't care what the training sessions are, because we only program technically 4 per week. Meet Yourself Saturday is the 5th, and it's optional. So if you wanted to do zone 2 those other days, you're still getting your training sessions counted. So yeah, there are a lot of ways to do this. New track starts. Let me see. Starts actually at the end of December. Let me pull up my calendar here. So I think like the 27th, I believe.
Yes, December 27th.
Yeah, 27th. Officially will be week 1. Or yeah, if you're talking about the human track, it's not a track; it's a program. I just want to be clear on that because it's only 7 weeks. It doesn't. It would only repeat, in Team Builder. It doesn't change or vary like we do the other tracks. So that will start in January. At the end of January, we will release the human program. We did not want to release it at the beginning because of the confusion it would cause with track changes. We want you to be on a track if you're going to be on a track, but if you want to do the human track, you'll be able to switch to that in January. All right. When should I request a track change if I choose to change? Joe, you want to hop back on and answer that one?
Right now.
Right now.
This weekend. Yeah. I mean, it's deload week. So everybody has basically the same programming. And next week's fit week. So once again, everybody has the same programming. So the sooner you get it done, the better and the easier for everyone it's going to be.
So if you guys do have any questions, throw them in the Facebook group or reach out to us in support. So like I said, the 300 and 200 challenge are going to be going on for the year. So at a minimum, we'll have a post once per month for check-ins and accountability and getting you guys into the fold there. And there's going to be a lot more information coming out about it. I just kind of want to announce it in the webinar. It's not kind of like, it's not going to be this, okay, it's out there. We'll check in at the end of next year. We'll do more frequent check-ins, try and get you guys engaged and see who can push through with some accountability, actually posting where you're at. Maybe you're falling short. Maybe you're doing things perfectly. But I think if we're doing this community-wide, we're all going to have a lot better chance of completing at least some level of the 300 or 200 challenge. But that's it for this one. If you have any questions, let us know. But thank you for attending the webinar, and we'll see you guys next time. Gym Athlete Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Thanks for listening.